We've seen Claude releasing this 200-line code that brought the B2B market down. We lost $300 billion of market value.
All of that is literally just beginning, but is all line of sight.
This is Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, legendary investor who was among the first to see every major tech wave coming. And what he's saying now should concern anyone with a career.
There aren't individual contributing workers anymore that we all deploy with a set of AIs.
So what do I do? What do people like me do?
Even most people who say, oh yeah, I'm using AI are not using it seriously enough.
You've been mentioning this a lot. Yeah. Everyone will have a set of agents working for them. Is it possible now, or we're still not quite there yet?
It's totally possible now.
So for someone who has a 9-to-5 job, what's the first thing they should do to double their income this year?
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe the simplest one is...
And I'm super excited that we're talking again a year later so we can revisit some of the things that you said last year. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
And I see ChatGPT everywhere. People are using different tools to build their own things. Is this the AI boom, or is it like 10% of what we're going to see?
Maybe 5%.
5%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, the last couple of years, people have been talking about it a lot. And one of the things we should get you, and we'll figure out how to get to you, but like I actually made an AI Christmas record, kind of AI music I'd want to see around Christmas. And it's just beginning to scratch what these kind of possibilities are. Because, by the way, I'm not qualified to make a record. I have none of the skills, but with AI, you can do that. And so what I think people are under tracking is they're seeing, of course, the general discussion of codecs and Claude Code and other things. And they're not realizing how that spreads out to every portion of kind of human work and creativity. That it isn't just, we all have a software agent as our co-pilot doing stuff for us. Yes, that'll be true too. But that the coding capabilities are like generalized reasoning capabilities that then enable a bunch of things. They enable you to say, well, you know what I've always wanted for someone working with me as a travel agent, as someone who really understood, my love of particular kinds of archaeology. Could you then be the travel agent that figured out like where and what and and could possibly book things and all that? Like all of that is literally just beginning, but is all line of sight. So I think we're literally, like, for example, we're a small n number of years by which we realize something I've been saying for the last couple, which is there aren't individual contributing workers anymore that we all deploy with a set of AIs. Like, for example, almost for sure when we're doing this conversation, let's just project next year since we did last year.
Yeah.
We'll have, your tablet will have an AI agent that's going, ask him about this, or when he said this, do this, or, like that kind of thing will be amongst what we're doing. That's the reason why I'm like, not 10%, maybe 5%, maybe 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said in our last interview that we have around 2 years to adapt. Yeah. So as someone non-technical, I want to start adapting.
Yes.
So what do I do? If I'm a creator, a salesperson, a marketer, what are the steps that I can take today?
Well, table stakes is if you're not already interacting with, call it the easy AI agents, the chatbots today, and in a substantive way. And I don't just mean that as a substantive way of like, so for example, you're thinking, okay, how do I take my podcast and kind of media to the next level? What are the things I should consider? What are the different kinds of ideas for it? Or I'm traveling to this fun place. What should I do there? All this stuff. But like, for example, what I mean by basics is in prompting, you don't just go, I type in 7 words and see what I get. One of the things I think is key now is being voice build, which is speak to it. We speak a lot faster, and it's actually much, much better if you just throw out lots of things. But even in speaking to it, like one of the things that I'll do when I'm interacting with various AI agents is I'll say, really interested in what are the prospects of fusion technology, which company is doing really interesting things, have new things coming from labs, Now, write me the right prompt to do all the research for that.
Yeah.
Even when I do voice build, because then it comes back with a 2-page prompt, and I run the 2-page prompt, and then I get something very interesting. So that's what I mean. I describe as basic.
Okay, this is basic.
Yeah, that's basic.
Talk to me about advanced, but without coding.
Like one of the things that as you begin to get experience with this, you realize that these chatbot agents are very good at ascribing roles. So you might have an idea, but you say, hey, I have an interest in, let's just continue the fusion example. I have an interest in fusion for climate change and fusion for energy and what it's going to mean for AI. Let's ask that question and an answer like, okay, what would a technologist say? What would a venture investor say? What would a government policy person say? What would a nuclear safety person say? And then you might even ask the AI, are there other roles that I haven't thought of? And then you ask it to adopt each role in giving you an answer, because then you begin to realize that there's a whole lens of things. And this thinking about AI as like a consummate, like, kind of role taker is useful, because even in very simple things, like you say, well, I'd really like to argue this. Like when I'm writing, I do this. And I say, well, argue against me. Like what's the thing that's a simple role? Like be the contrarian, be the naysayer to what I'm saying. By the way, you can also get and what are things I'm missing to argue for what I want to be arguing?
That's a great exercise, by the way.
Yes. So you do all that. But then it also gets interesting when you kind of go, all right, like for example, you say, well, hey, I'm thinking about what's the next generation of AI impacting social media, internet media? Like even the question you're asking, it's a great question to go ask AI. Is like, no, you have to ask it in a way that you're prompting it to do web research. This is maybe a little bit more on the slightly more advanced question is, what people don't realize is they think this is a deeply knowledgeable AI, which it is. They don't realize its training run finished 18 months ago. So it's actually 18 months out of date in the use of AI tools, right? So when you're asking a question like, well, which AI tools, you actually have to ask it a research question. You have to say, go pull a whole bunch of information. It's like GPT 5.2 thinking mode.
Yeah.
Pull in information and give me a report on it. Because if you're relying on just the information on the model, its view of something that we're being 18 months out of date is a problem, is a problem.
Can you evaluate my setup? For example, I have a Notion where we have the whole operations. I have 35 people on my team. We log every episode. We have a transcript. And then we have Claude projects for every social media that we're running, which has access to performance data, scripts. It acts like a strategist. So we gave it instructions so it knows what our goals are. Do you think it's easy, medium, or advanced? What else
I would
can
say
go
that's
on top?
probably medium.
Medium? Okay.
Right? So part of it is you've got Claude agents with assigned roles on a, kind of constant, like, an active part of the process, not one-off.
Yeah.
So that takes you from easy to medium.
Okay,
right?
great.
And kind of doing that. Now, on advanced, you probably want to say, well, what are the additional skills and what pulls from other sorts of data might be useful? Like, should we have one that's kind of going, for example, talk to all the agents or all the projects and say, is there through lines? Like, what can we derive from what's working, what's not working? Are there through lines that can give us good ideas for things we should be doing in the next month or two? Right? Like kind of doing almost like the meta of it would be one thing. And meta, both internal data, but also external data.
Like how other podcasts are doing.
And you might go, this one did this really interesting thing with, and I'm just choosing a random one, CryptoPunks. And we could do something with that. Right? Like that kind of thing. Like,
gathering ideas from other fields for you.
Right. And that would be because again, part of it is think about the AI agents as intelligence that scales, processes information with basically the price of electricity, right? The price of compute, but price of compute and electricity. Well, that means it's like in the vectors where you can give it instructions, you don't want it to spend infinitely. You could obviously easily spend $200,000 on AI processing that's not useful. That is not useful. But in anything where it's kind of bounded into a vector that's useful, you go, well, actually, in fact, spending even call it $10,000 doing a bunch of compute could suddenly give you 15 different useful things. And that's easily valuable.
Yeah. So for someone who's listening who has a 9-to-5 job doing $80K and they're like, okay, how do I use it to double my income this year? What would you say?
Oh, that's interesting. Doubling income is an interesting question. Partially because maybe the simplest one is everyone who is running businesses that they're investing in knows that they have a massive need for AI transformation and AI talent. So part of it is to start demonstrating your engagement and knowledge with AI in ways that you're easily findable. Because, whether it's through LinkedIn or through social media platforms or else, like literally people are like, we're looking for this because we know we need this transformation. And so I think the lucrative jobs won't just be the super high price, like, oh, we need AI researchers. But like we're literally now, I think this year is when we really begin to see more of the applications. And so like, how do I run my business better? How do I do like my analysis of my supply chain or my financial analysis or my risk analysis or my marketing or my sales? How do I do any of that stuff better? And they're going to start looking at it. And sure, they'll go to some of their internal people, but everyone's going to start going, well, I've been doing this job and jumping to the totally new thing is hard for me. So part of it is like, okay, start jumping to the new thing.
Love it. So basically the business idea or the double income idea, you get proficient in tools in some area and go help other
and demonstrate
companies.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
And demonstrate it.
Because I feel like we're also in a bubble, right? Where in Silicon Valley, everyone's using AI and then you travel abroad and be like, what?
Yes.
What GPT?
Well, yes, with really interesting asterisks. So like, for example, I think it was about 18 months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who was traveling in Morocco. And the taxi driver, who didn't speak English, was making their whole business work because they were just using ChatGPT as a translator. So literally it was just like...
People are figuring it out.
Yes, exactly.
It's just the beginner stage.
Yes.
But then you need to become medium and advanced.
We've been talking with Reid about AI changing how we work, how we build, how we create. And I want to show you a tool that we've actually been using on Silicon Valley Girl for a while. This is Higgsfield. You might have seen some of my posts with my dream guests for this podcast and my dream blog in New York City. Those videos and images were all generated in Higgsfield. It is a platform where you can get all the top AI models in one place. Nana Banana, Cdance, Kling, Google Veo, Sora. You don't need 10 subscriptions. Everything is right there. Higgsfield just dropped Cinema Studio 2.0, and this is the next level because it's not just an AI video. It's closer to actual filmmaking. You start with a text prompt, you pick your camera, your lens, your focal length, like you're setting up a real shoot, except you're doing it in your browser. You generate an image, and then you can step inside it as a 3D scene. Move around, find the exact angle you want, and then you turn it into a video. Camera movements, pan, dolly, drone shot, you just select it and it happens. No timelines, no keyframes, nothing. You can build full sequences, up to 6 shots, each up to 12 seconds in 1080p. You add characters, give them emotions, write dialogue, and it handles lip sync automatically. Characters stay consistent across every single shot. And here's what got me. There are genre presets: action, horror, comedy, suspense. And they don't just change how it looks, they change how it feels. A horror sequence builds tension slowly. Action speeds everything up. Comedy holds the reaction shots longer for timing. The genre actually shapes the pacing of the whole scene. This is probably the closest thing to real AI filmmaking that exists right now. Not just clips, but actual scenes with characters and story. If you want to try it, I'll leave the link to Cinema Studio 2.0 in the description. All right, let's get back to our interview with Reid.
Talk to me as an entrepreneur. So I built a company and I've been building this business since 2011. Helping people learn languages, study abroad. But from what I'm seeing right now, with these systems getting more and more advanced, codecs can now do the taste thing, right, that we thought is irreplaceable. And then we've seen Claude releasing this 200-line code that brought the B2B market down. We lost $300 billion of market value. Is this the end of B2B software, or like what's going on?
What it was, markets tend to, over time, are very good measurement devices, but like can do crazy short-term things, short-term long, short-term low, short-term high. They can do both, right? Because they kind of don't know how to absorb something. And part of what the transformation of the kind of called SaaS B2B software market is, the way it used to run is I would build something, kind of valuable like Salesforce. And in building Salesforce, it would take, ultimately I'd add in so many features because one feature for company 1, one feature for company 2, 3 features for company 3, but having them all there, that for someone who wanted to compete with me, they'd have to spend $1 billion just to create the product to start the sales thing against me. And even then, the problem is that sales is a very hard thing because what Salesforce says, we'll be here forever. Do you want to switch your mission critical system to the new provider who, sure, they spent $1 billion building the product, but are they going to still be here or not? So it's very hard to do. And that's the economics that created SaaS as a valuable business category, because then Salesforce, because it was hard to get competition in, could charge, I don't know what their actual sales for margin, but let's call it 40%, margins, and that could allow them to kind of reinvest in their business and everything else. Now, with AI coding, it's like, well, actually, in fact, like I'm company 4, and they had these 2 features that I particularly want. I didn't want all of them.
Yeah.
And there was another feature that wasn't in there, or number 2 features weren't even in there that I really wanted. Now it might just be more economical for me to kind of maintain my own system in AI, because generating and maintaining and evolving the software is so much cheaper.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
One counterpoint, because everyone's like, oh, software engineers are getting out of jobs. No, they're not, because they're going to be employed everywhere. Like the grocery store is going to be employing software engineers and these things. Like you still need to think about this. Like you say, I want to have a CRM system. You can't go to an AI and go, give me a CRM system.
Not now. What about 2 years?
Well, maybe eventually, but like, for example, I have confidence that for a number of years, and maybe it's a shorter than I would believe, the human plus the AI will be much better, right?
Okay.
Like when you're understanding, like, for example, Sarah or Bob is walking around, they're looking at how we use the CRM system and are like, oh, but this would be a good idea. The AI doesn't really have that ability to walk around and do it. It'll have ability to do internet research and bring that in, which is really useful, as per earlier comments. But that's the reason why I think the combo will be useful. And that's the reason why I think software engineers will have jobs for a while, because it's a way of thinking about it. Now, how a software engineer operates is already starting to change. Like, as opposed to I'm sitting down and typing code. It's like, well, actually, in fact, I've got 20 coding agents that I'm managing through voice going, generate this, cross-check this, do that. Yeah. Like I'm more of a conductor than I am a violin player or a piano player, right? Is kind of the thing. And that is changing. People be surprised at how much room there is in the business world for conductors.
Okay. But so I've heard this a lot on social media, and I feel like I'm kind of starting to believe it, that we only have a few years to make money as small business entrepreneurs, because then it's going to be taken away by large models. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do think that we're going to see a sea of content creation by AI.
Yeah.
And, people say, well, but people don't want that. They want only human. And it's like, well, there will be a persistent demand for human. That's good. By the way, just like there's elevator music, music in elevators. And so there's lots of things out there that people are not like, well, I'm really looking to make sure it's only a person who made that. It's just, does it fit my particular need and circumstances? Is it easily available? Is it free, cheap, not expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So there's going to be a flood of stuff. I do think that what that means for small business but it may be a feature of small business versus, call it, large businesses, which is small businesses usually tend to be able to be more adaptive, because our large businesses are almost more on, call it, the industrial model, the Taylor model. It's like we've tuned our efficiency and we work really and we own these distribution channels, and we did I love Disney, so I'm not picking on Disney, but like Disney, as what he's doing, small businesses adopt AI, I think will have a lot of interesting, unique shots because of the platform transition. And so it'll be an advantage to them versus the large companies. The small businesses don't adopt AI, I think it's going to be very hard.
What would be your advice then for entrepreneurs who are building a smaller AI-based business, and are afraid that 2 weeks somebody releases, like with SAT prep, because I'm in test prep.
Yes. Yeah,
Gemini released SAT prep. I'm like, okay, my thing is TOEFL.
Yes.
When is TOEFL coming to Gemini?
Probably very soon. But, sorry to say, I just registered your specific question, but my guess is it's very not
soon,
very
right?
soon.
Yeah.
Months.
So what do I do? What do people like me do?
Well, I think what you do is you refactor to go, look, I realize I'm going to have to rebase my entire business on AI, and AI is a dynamic changing platform. So in as much as it's not tooled on AI, I got to retool. Now, part of it is, TOEFL will be available on AI platforms for entrepreneurial, or kind of, call it, people who want to pull it together themselves, just as they were pulling together through Google searches, whatever else, for free. So that So what's the things I can do that cause people to engage with me?
Yeah, what's my value add?
Right.
Okay, build a personal brand. We're
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Well, that's definitely one, but it's also like you could imagine it's like, well, actually, in fact, most of these, like Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, et cetera, will be solo experiences for a number of years. They're going to be so focused on solo experiences. Well, maybe there's ways we can do group experiences. And the group experiences really work. And it doesn't mean that, you can't inject, ChatGPT into a group experience and have it, be useful. But maybe it's like, what are the ways that we use this trajectory and then we are adding in something else? Because it's not going to be like, for example, you say, well, but it could do that itself. Or someone who says, I want to do it myself. Sure. But people don't want to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
One, they don't have the ideas. Two, they don't have the time. I think AI prompting is only going to slowly, like at human speeds, grow as I even talk to people who are pretty expert and they go, oh, wait a minute. I was voice billed, but I wasn't doing it. Write the prompt for me.
Yeah.
Off it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It takes you to the next level because the problem's like this.
Yes, right. That kind of thing.
This is very interesting.
If you're watching this, you are probably thinking about growing your own LinkedIn profile. Here's what we found. The people crushing it aren't guessing what to post. They have a system. That's why we built a free database of 300 post ideas. It's literally 300 ready-to-use post ideas you can use across your LinkedIn right now. We organize the ideas based on audience's segment, type of content to use, whether it's an image or text or video, frequency, because you can post one idea multiple times, and even time needed to create. If it sounds good to you, we're giving it for free to my Inner Circle newsletter subscribers, which is, again, it's free to subscribe. Link is in the comments. Grab it and you're set for the next year of content.
So are there any industries that you think are more... So from what you're saying, like group experience, everything, I feel like offline is going to get way bigger.
Yeah.
Just want to stay off our devices and do things. Any other markets?
Well, offline for sure. I also think, like I said, we are social animals. So that's the reason why the groups is not just, being one of the earliest social network people, LinkedIn, et cetera. But I think that will matter. Even as these AI systems get a lot of capability, there still will be uncertainties in trust. And part of the uncertainties in trust is the incentive of the entity that's offering it versus others. And there's ways that I think kind of gets back to the personal brand, but a set of things that kind of get to like, how is that trust established and maintained? We're both familiar from our Silicon Valley context. There's obviously a whole bunch of people say everything that's done with bits is going to be completely done with AI and that's it. I'd be very surprised if that were true. Like that would be surprising. What I think is going to be massively transformed. So anything that's being done with bits in a particular way today will be very different in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, et cetera. And you have to adapt to it and adopt it. But I tend to think there's still, like, for example, it's like, oh, well, I shouldn't bother writing science fiction anymore. It's like, it's not clear to me. Like, I think writing science fiction could still work. But if your process of writing science fiction is, I disappear for 3 years into a cubicle, kind of typing on my, it's unclear that's going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think AI is the last human-driven revolution and all of the next revolutions will be AI created?
I think call it probability 60 to 70% that the future inventions over the next, call it 50 to 100 years, who knows after that, will be human plus AI created. It doesn't mean that there won't, like every human doing an invention might not be actually, in fact, using AI to do it. I have some actually, kind of, unfortunately, some things I can't talk about because they're confidential, but like they will be revealed the next month is around like physicists working with AI to do stuff. And it's not, oh my God, we discovered what dark matter is, but solving physics problems. Okay. But it's the human plus AI together. Okay. And I think
60, 70%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I think there is of like inventions. And then I think there's probably going to be, call it another 25%, 30%, depending on where it is exactly, that is actually, in fact, primarily AI driven. right, over time, in part because we'll begin to kind of get zones of, oh, that's a much better problem for the AI to solve. And there might be some human checking in, but it won't even be that depth of it being a conductor. It'd be more like cross-checking the, hey, or does this make sense? Or can I spend $10 million doing the compute to analyze fusion containment in the following way? And you're like, well, $10 million is a lot of money, if it's in today's dollars. Let's cross-check it. And then I think there will be still 5% that's still the human eureka, like without AI.
Okay, only 5% for humans.
Yes. Well, with unassisted.
Unassisted. Okay. So sounds good. Sounds positive. Okay, my last question. It is February 2026. If you could give one piece of advice to someone watching now, what is one thing they should do before February 2027 to not get left behind?
Well, the very central thing, a little bit like what echoes what we were talking about before, is even most people who say, oh yeah, I'm using AI are not using it seriously enough, right? Which is like, in everything that I do, I think about how would I use, I don't always do it because you don't always have to, and certainly not now, but how would I use AI to help me do that or to make that happen? And it ranges everything from I'm planning a vacation in Rome to I am thinking about writing a piece or what's the way that I would analyze what's going on with Moltbot and the whole range. I think, okay, if I were going to try to use AI to really help with that, well, what might I do? And having that kind of always be a question. And it could even be I'm going to have a difficult conversation with my mother. Okay, think about how AI could help with that. Like, just get in the reflex. Think of it as kind of doing just the simple training.
Yeah, like before everything you do, just think about how you could deploy AI to help you.
And you might go, no, I'm not going to do this one. That's fine because limited time and all the rest. But be thinking about that because that is a reflex. Because literally, my belief is today, everything you do, AI can be helpful. Doesn't mean it's the answer. So, for example, I still wouldn't go, here's the money I'm investing in AI, just have an AI do it. I think that would be a way to lose money today, right? I'm still doing it myself.
Yeah.
But I also, by the way, think about what new capabilities the AI is bringing to my ability to invest, including in AI.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much. And thank you from everyone who's posting on LinkedIn. I feel like 2025 was the year of LinkedIn when we all saw tremendous growth and so many great deals. So thank you so much for creating it.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.